So it's the middle of June, and I thought I'd do a quick harvest video. This is what we consider to be our hungry gap really, early June. Everything sort of is really abundant in April and May, and then it dips down a little bit in early June and gradually just starts picking up through June, and obviously back into abundance in July. We still have a nice range of stuff, it's just we just don't have quite as much for the family. But it's worth making that small sacrifice because it does mean that we've got a huge amount of ground dedicated to crops for autumn, winter and early spring. And and by the time you get into summer, you really don't need very much space to have a huge abundance of summer crops because everything is just growing so quickly. But if you don't get your stuff in the ground now, things like your winter carrots for example, then obviously that would be a problem. So it's worth the sacrifice. Just a short period, 2 or 3 weeks of shortage in June for us to have this huge abundance later on in the year. So we have a ridiculous number of peas at the moment. The early crop and the main crop have kind of come at the same time. Thank goodness we've got a late crop still to come. But I've got loads of mange too, and loads of these little sugar snaps as well. So I'm just working my way through these. And it is a bit of an issue with getting your timings right. And normally this timing is right, and my early crop is kind of finishing at the same time as my main crop is just starting. But this year everything was just a little bit late. So well, you just have to live with this in gardening. The courgettes at least are behaving themselves. These are the early crop. We've been harvesting these for ages, and we've got a couple of these. These were in the polytunnel, I've moved them out. And these are, they're still giving a yield, but they're just on their way out at the time that the main crop are just starting to kick in. We've got a nice little crop of these. That's the same with the early beans. So these are ready now, giving us a really nice yield. And the main crop dwarf French beans are not ready yet. So these in the polytunnel, they do tend to tire out quite quickly because they're just in small containers. But that's effectively what I want, because I want rid of these containers because it's summer and it's a pain watering containers. So I want to switch over to the plants in the ground, but before I do that I want to get a nice harvest of these. So it's working out quite nicely, and we just off these early crop we just have enough just for Debbie and I. So the family aren't getting any beans, but we'll get in all the beans we can eat in a typical week. So yeah, that's a nice way to harvest. And that's the way I generally think about early harvests. If we can't get enough for the week from an early harvest, then it's generally not worth doing it, and we don't bother. So for example, tomatoes, we don't really bother with early tomatoes because we've found we only get about a handful of them, and a handful's just not enough for a week, and so we still have to buy stuff from the shop. And if we're buying it from the shop, then there's no real point growing it for us. Whereas with cucumbers, for example, we get easily enough for Debbie and I for a week, with quite a lot of spare just from a few early plants, and so that's a really worthwhile early crop. So there we go, that's the third harvest of beans this week, so that's pretty good. Now I'm on with the carrots, and these are early ones. These were planted, I don't know, back on 22nd of February, so these are coming to the end of their lives now. And these are Amsterdam forcing. I gotta say, I'm not really that keen on Amsterdam forcing by comparison with some of the other varieties that I've grown. So I think I'll be sticking with something like Marion, which has done way better These are a bit small. I mean, admittedly, I probably planted too many of them. But yeah, I mean, it's a decent harvest, and it's quite. They're nice and tender. These, they're nice in salads, especially. Anyway, I'll get on with these. So it's not difficult to see the difference between these. These are the Marion ones, and these, which are the Amsterdam Forcing. I mean, sometimes you do get a decent crop from Amsterdam Forcing, but yeah, these are the ones I'm going for. So this is my earliest crop of beetroot, and I'm picking it now because a few of them are starting to go to seed. So best to get them all out of the ground before they all go. And they're pretty nice sizes, to be honest. I'm quite happy with these. So I'm pleased to get those out. We've got plenty more beetroot to come. And they'll be ready in a few weeks' time. It's nice to be able to see the tomatoes again. I'm kind of unsure about how useful it is to grow early beetroot in the polytunnel. It's not dramatically earlier than the stuff that's outside, but it is a kind of contingency against us running out, and we do eat beetroot a lot. And so I think, given the size of the bed there, it's not very big, is it? It's half a metre, maybe less than a half a metre, and we've got quite a nice yield. And obviously these haven't been in the polytunnel all the time. We had spinach in here and radish, and then the beetroot went in after the radish. So we've had quite a few crops out of this little patch of land. That's not so bad though. And we've got quite a nice selection of smoothie greens as well. I'm going to pick some spring onions. I grew these in the middle of my asparagus bed, and they're quite nice. I notice as I'm picking these that we've got quite a bit of asparagus beetle on here. So I'm going to start picking some of the parsley. We haven't had a huge amount of parsley actually for the last couple of weeks because it all started to go to seed, and this new season stuff wasn't quite ready. So I'm just going to pick one clump off each plant. There we go, and I think I'll get some of this as well. So I'll take these tips off, and then it'll start thickening up a bit. Oh, the smell. Basil. I don't actually like eating it very much, but I absolutely love the smell. Making a lot of this spring kale at the moment, so this is our earliest kale bed, and it's going to seed now, so we don't mind that because this is where we're going to be planting probably the purple sprouting broccoli in about 4 or 5 weeks time. So we're just harvesting as much of this as we can. But this is a nice early bed, sown in January, and we've been harvesting it for quite a while now, a month or 6 weeks probably. And that's a nice little bundle there. And then I just pop it in a container with water along with the spring onions, just so that the stems are in water. Most of the things that we grow, we kind of have a first early crop, so first early kale. This is the second early kale. This is what we'll use over summer. And then we have our main crop kale, which is for autumn and winter. So we tend to have these sort of successions and it just helps us manage how much to pick off the plants. So these, because they're being eaten in the summer, these are being aggressively picked all of the time, whereas the ones for autumn and winter, we plant them a bit later so they'll last longer into spring, and we don't pick them quite as aggressively so that they're bigger, stronger plants come winter time. Can't beat kale for all these different varieties, all these different textures and tastes. So now I'm onto the golden purslane. Absolutely beautiful crop, so succulent and crunchy. It's our favourite salad crop. This is the bed I'm picking. That's the bed I've just picked. Quite a nice crop. A little bit of an aphid problem. Actually, we've got lots of aphid problems in general around at the moment. I'm not worrying about it, they rinse off fine. So now I'm onto the broad beans, and we don't grow a huge amount of broad beans now, and last year we grew a lot more, but what we found was that although they freeze well, we just don't eat much frozen food, so they just end up sitting in the fridge, sitting in the freezer and never getting used, because we've got so much fresh food, and fresh food is always better than frozen food. So we generally, as a rule now, don't really bother freezing stuff unless it's something that's really kind of unique and something that we kind of really lust after, or we're really concerned maybe about running out of, and it's a staple food. So we might have a couple of litres of onions just in case we have some sort of disaster with the early onions, and it's just, you know, because we can't afford to be without onions, but we can afford to be without broad beans, and so we don't worry about it. And these are not our earliest beans, because we've been harvesting French beans for a bit longer than we've been harvesting broad beans, but they're a really nice crop. It's sort of fill the gap really until a bit tough getting off, until the main crop beans kind of kick in about a month's time. So that's not a bad harvest actually. Gonna have a lot of happy people today. First early strawberries in the polytunnel are finished now. So we're on to the second earlies. We don't net ours. We find that the combination of a raised bed, lush foliage and garlic is enough to deter the birds, and yeah, we've got loads, more than we can eat really at the moment. And again, we don't really process them. Occasionally we make some jam, but we don't use a huge amount of jam, so most of it gets eaten fresh. On to the spinach now. We don't have a huge amount of spinach here actually, most of it's at home now. I'm just picking this New Zealand spinach, which is gorgeous. It's probably the best that I've ever grown, to be honest. It's really succulent leaves this time, and yeah, I've just picked some from the polytunnel as well. So I'm back home now. I'm just about to do the salad harvest, but this is most of the cooked veg harvest, so it's looking quite good. This is all spinaches here, obviously carrots, celery, beetroot, courgettes, flake cake, just a few bits of calabrese. We don't have much calabrese at the moment. Peas, broad beans, kales, so many different types of kale. Potatoes, we just have salad potatoes right now. We've got some larger potatoes in the fridge from last week still. French beans, sugar snap peas, and beetroot from the store, and we've got onions from the store as well, but they're the ones that we harvested last week, so that's pretty good. Now those potatoes, if you're interested, those were from 3 tubers. So I'm just doing the salads now. So we've got about 6 different types of lettuce in here. We've got golden purslane, carrots, spring onion tops. Just about to put some spring onions in. Got some more here. And some more spring onion tops and some more just white spring onions. I really like these red ones. They're the ones that are going in my mix. So that's what we've ended up with. We had grapes and tomatoes that we buy at this time of year, but the cucumbers are ours, and everything else obviously. So generally when I do a harvesting video, I get a lot of questions about how and why we harvest. So I've written a section in my ebook all about harvesting, which answers all of those questions, and kind of goes through, you know, why we harvest in the way that we do, how we make sure that things are nice and fresh even after a week, why we use the types of harvesting containers and tools and things like that that we do, which ones we use. All of that is in this chapter, so take a look. It's freely available in the description, as is the whole of the ebook. So I hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.